Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. So we start exactly where we left off last time, which was with Aaron and Gary leaving the premises of the bank. Andy's in her feelings, she boohoo crying, and Danny actually, to me, now this is my opinion, I feel like Danny was really trying to be a friend and kind of give her a little bit of a push and encouragement to kind of be like, are you sure you good? Like, are you sure you're ready to move forward and do what you need to do? Because this was a situation that you were in. And I'm just like, why did her friends come at her sideways? My thing is, yes, Danny has a past, just like all the rest of them, dealing with men who they shouldn't have been dealing with. But in that moment, I really felt like Danny was coming at her like, I want nothing for the best. I want nothing but the best for you. You deserve better than what was given to you. But then they gonna come at her and name off all these dudes who Danny had been dealing with, trying to shade her in that moment when that moment was about Andy. But okay. Anyway, I don't like how they did her like that. But anyway, moving right along. So they end up showing Hayden rolling up on Fatima, and he over here doing the most, knowing good and well he don't never do none of this stuff, dealing with the housing projects that they end up, having the ex, jailed offenders and whatnot working in. He's sitting up here picking up receipts and doing things that he normally wouldn't do. And so he was like, oh yeah, I went and picked this up and this happened. Like, it's like he was throwing out little things to kind of let her know that he went by the site that Zach was at. Because y'all know that, she likes Zach, and he popped up at her house and saw his shoes, and then he went to that spot and saw him with them same shoes on, and so he got in his feelings, and he feel like, oh, so she dealing with him and won't deal with me. Look what all I have going on. Why she wouldn't deal with me? Why she want to deal with him? And he broke and dusty and all these other things. So anyway, she looking like, okay, why did you go by and do this? This person normally picks up this stuff. And so he over here talking about, well, I feel like we need to start over again. And I'm just like, why are you not understanding? She has, like, Fatima was painfully blunt with him and told her that the sex was not all that, and it is what it is. It was what it was. We did what we did, like, once. And I wasn't here for it. You're not my type. How you gonna try to make somebody want you that don't want? I cannot stand people who do that. But anyway, he still hung up on her because, yeah, apparently she is an amazing person. She seems like she has a decent personality on top of the fact that she is not an ugly person. And she holds her own. She takes care of herself. So that is very attractive to a lot of people. So anyway, after she, is done talking to him, she is like, wait a minute. And she thinks about it and she calls Zach. She was like, I want you to be honest with me. Riddle me this. Did Hayden stop by the house the other night? And so he was like, what would make you ask that? So eventually he says, yeah, he stopped by. And then, she's really trying to understand why is it that he is so shook to the point where he won't, he don't even want nothing to do with her no more, knowing good and well they had great chemistry. So it's like, okay, what's really going on, honey? We're not understanding what's going on. And so he was just like, look, he basically told me that he gonna kick me out the program and all this other stuff. And so she was just like, what? And so she's just like, look, I know you tired. You need to come by my place and get you some rest. I know you tired. He was like, yeah, I am, but I had to put in that sweat equity and I'm good. So she was like, you have to rest at some point. So eventually she is able to persuade him to, commit to coming by whenever he get off work or whenever he do decide to stop working at the house and get some sleep. Well, at first he was like, now you know good and well if I come over there, I'm not going to be able to get no sleep. So why is we playing these games? Your bed comfortable, all these other things. You're going to be looking how you're looking. What you talking about? So yeah, he was just, she was like, okay, it is what it is. But, we could have had something, amazing last night. And he was like, I had things going on. And all of this was in an effort to avoid any drama. He don't want nothing that's going to mess up what he has going on because everything has been going well. with him putting in the sweat equity. So I don't blame him, but at the same time, Hayden should not be trying him like that. You want to sit up here and get this man put away and messed up for no reason when he actually is trying to be on the right path right now. Stop. Andy went to work and she came in sad, and you could tell that her demeanor is very, very out of place. So she rolled up on Fatima and asked her for certain files. Fatima has been acting the exact same way that she normally acts. And so she was like, okay, right away. Girl, you look really nice. You know, complimenting her and everything. And like, she really giving her like halfway acknowledgments and like, just get them files to me, please. And then walked off. And so Fatima kind of looking at her like, okay. So she goes into her actual office where she finds Paris's mama, Miss Irene, in there cleaning. And so she was like, hey, how you doing and all this or whatever. And so she was like, hi. I thought y'all cleaned at night. And so she was like, we do. For some strange reason, there's a bug or something going on. And so your boss wanted us to come in and do some extra cleaning. So I don't know if this is a, kind of a nod to the virus that's going on. But yeah. So then she was like, okay, whatever. So then she was like, well, be careful. So she was like, why? She was like, because Paris is somewhere in this building working. And so she kind of looked at her. And so she was like, oh, okay. What did he tell you? She finds out that his mama know all about the situation, about how both of them got to throwing hands. And she was just like, okay, what's going on with you? She was like, what you mean? She was like, you sad. You look like you've been crying. What's wrong with you? So she was like, nothing's wrong with me. She was like, yes, it is. She was like, now, just be honest. What is it? So she was like, are you in love? And so she was like, yes. Is that so hard for people to believe and understand? And so she looking at her like, girl, I've been there, done that. It is what it is. But I had to understand that I can love somebody and not need the drama that come along with it. Basically what she was saying. She was like, I can love them, but don't need them. So I was like, I'm going to need you to understand that Miss Irene is dropping these gems and pick them up and get to using them because you dumb. Andy's dumb, y'all. I'm tired. Danny and Zach are at work, and Danny keeps on kind of trying to encourage him to get back with Karen, right? Karen is at work, first of all, and as soon as she walks in the door, the receptionist hands a bill to her and was like, I hate to start your day off like this, but, you're going to have to read this. Apparently, Zach has read up her business card by almost $6,000. And, she verified it and everything. She said, I, went through the trouble of verifying it, and it was him. They said that all these charges were made by him. So she tried to call him. He wouldn't answer the phone. So he was at work with Danny, and they were in the middle of talking, and he was like, you know what? I'm not answering that. And so, of course, Danny's trying to be nosy, trying to figure out who it is. Eventually, he tells her that it's her girl, Karen, calling. And so she really is laying it on thick, like, why don't you just get back with her? You know you want to. And he's looking at her like, no, though, I'm good where I'm at. You don't understand. This woman makes me smile. She makes me feel things that I never felt before. She encourages me and makes me feel like I can do things that I set my mind to. She don't talk down to me like y'all do. She speaks to me in a way that I've never been spoken to. And you might as well hang it up. Well, she reveals that he need to go ahead and get back with Karen because she bet Sabrina that they would be back together in a couple of weeks. Because that's what they always do. They always break up and get back together and all this other stuff. So he was like, well, that money is long gone. You might as well go ahead and say bye-bye to that money because that money is gone. I'm done with her. Ain't nothing else to do. So she over here being crazy and telling him that he needs to go ahead and just for a day, just go over there, sleep with her real quick, then break up the next day so that she can get her money. He was just like, nah, I'm not doing that. So she was like, you've done this 17 times already. Like, what's so different now? Like, I was like, girl. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's a mess. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, girl, let this man finally do right in his life and just chalk that money up as gone for real. Maurice is at the bank and he is being very petty and mean, and y'all know how he is with that new guy. He's asking him to show him how to do something that Sabrina has already taught him how to do twice. And he looking like, go ask Sabrina. Like, don't ask me how to do nothing. I don't know how to do it. Like, he lied to me, he don't know how to do it. He was like, yes, you do. I don't understand. Why are you always being so mean to me? He was like, go ask Sabrina. Like, y'all, he kept getting louder and louder, like to the point where he was like legit screaming at this man and telling him to go on about his business. So then they started talking and he was like, I feel like you like your friend, your girlfriend, your friend, your man girl, your how did he say your friend girl, referring to Alonzo. And he was like, what you talking about? And he was like, what you mean? He had to explain to him that he's nothing like Alonzo. And y'all, for whatever reason, he don't understand or know that Maurice is gay. And he was like, what? He was like, you got to be blind, stupid, and crazy. Or something like that, he said. To not know that as gay can be. Like, what is you talking about? And he was like, he said something about him being big. And he was like, I never heard or understood anything having to do with somebody being big, the size of them having anything to do with whether or not they are gay. Because I was like, what? Is he being serious? He was legit being serious about this, saying that because Maurice is big, he didn't expect him to be gay. He expected him to be a player, a football player. And he was like, we are everywhere. He was like, every teller I know is gay. I was like, oh my gosh, no. He was like, everybody in my profession is gay. He was like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, what are you talking about? Y'all, he had to tell this boy that plenty of them are gay that play all these sports and all these other things because he has played sports as well. And so he was like, they all around you too. When you in the locker room, in the showers, everything, they all around. Like, what is you talking about? Like, I was like, the fact that he had to tell him, what is wrong with this boy? And he was like, I mean, I ain't got no problem with it, but I just wouldn't have expected it because you big. And I'm just like, what that got to do with anything? Y'all, so anyway, he done dismissed this boy. And I'm talking about like screamed. Y'all, I cannot even imitate because I would need to be in an open field to scream the way this man screamed at this boy and told him to go ask Sabrina. And so he would move with nothing. Like, old boy had to like bump him to get him out the way and some more. So then he ended up going to Sabrina. Sabrina was in her office on the phone. And so she got off her phone trying to see what he wanted. And he was like, well, I need you to show me how to do this. And so she was like, are you being serious? Because I've showed you how to do this 2 times already. Like, is there a reason why you're doing this? And so it's like he kind of wanted to say something, but then he refrained from saying it. And he was like, no, I really don't know how to do this. And so she was just like, I'm not understanding how you don't know how to do this. You have been very proficient in doing everything else. But all of a sudden you don't know how to do this simple task? Like, I'm not understanding. So she didn't even want to go into it with him like that. So she ended up asking him for the tablet so that she can explain to him how to do it. So while she's in the office explaining to him how to do that task, old boy come in to give the key back to Maurice. And so Calvin was like, hey, I'm here. And so he was like, what you doing here? He was like, well, you told me to come by and bring the key to you, so that's what I'm doing. He was like, all right, well, hurry up and get out of here before she see you. And he was like, man, I ain't worried about that. So then he turned around. He sees her in the office with him. And at this point, he's no longer sitting across the desk from her. He is like standing over her, kind of behind her, watching her do what she's doing when explaining how to use the tablet and do whatever function he needs to do in order to submit reports or whatever it was. He was doing some paperwork. And he was like, what's going on in there? Who is that? And so he was like, I thought you said you didn't care. And so he was like, no, who is that? What's going on in there? They look a little bit too close for comfort. And so he was like, he is the newest employee. And so he was like, I mean, what is going on? Does she like him or something? And he was just like, no, she don't like him, but she want to F him. I was like, oh my God. Maurice be killing me. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then like another part that happened that had me dying was he came in, he was like, wait a minute, what is that? What you got on? And so he was like, oh, I have cologne on. And he was like, what cologne? Where'd you get it from? Is that mine? He had to go off on him and was like, don't go in my stuff. Don't touch none of my stuff. When we gonna live together, don't touch nothing of mine. You ain't here to do that. And you better not go in my toys and play with my toys because we know what you like. I was like, oh my gosh, he done read this man. But anyway, he done got in his feelings about Sabrina being in that room with that boy. And he done went on by his business. He in his feelings. Well, since Zach has taken upon himself to block Karen's phone calls, which she doesn't know that he's blocked her, she came up to his job. And so she ran into her friend Danny first. And so she was like, where is Zach? She kind of trying to stall and act like she don't know where he at. And so she was like, call him. You have a phone, call him. Well, he answered the phone. He was on a plane cleaning it. And so she was just like, stay where you at, and got off the phone. She made it seem like she was training Karen so that she can get her on the plane where he was, because she did explain to her that she had a bill that said that he has been charging her card up to almost $6,000. Well, he looked back and see both of them walking on the plane, and he was looking like, really? She approached him and asked him about it and wanted to know why he do all this to her. And so he said he ain't do it. And in all honesty, y'all, I forgot to say when that first came about in this episode, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he's being set up by Hayden or somebody with this foolishness. I don't know. But yeah, they got into it. And it's to the point where she done went off so bad that she told him out of her mouth that the fact that he got stabbed for her, that don't even mean nothing. And that she threw all the last of his stuff out of the house. And so he was like, what stuff? And she was like, the last of the stuff you had that was in my closet, I put it outside. He was like, you better not be talking about my grandfather's things. You know, that's all I had left of my grandfather. She said, I don't care about none of that. I don't care about what it is. I don't care if it is. Hopefully they threw it away. I don't care. I was just like, oh my gosh. Y'all, he was like, you know what? If I should have let you die that day. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Now, y'all, the last relationship that I was in, my ex did me the worst that anybody in life has ever done me. He did me so dirty. But despite how evil, when I tell you he spits fire when he talks sideways to me, I don't even think I would be able to bring myself to say something like that to him, despite how evil and mean-spirited he has been to me. Like, it was like daggers being thrown in my heart when this was being said on a TV show. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, whoa, wait a minute. So anyway, he got tired in his spirit, said, F you. Then he walked up to Danny and said, F you for bringing her to my job. This is my job. And he done walked off the plane. And so then Danny was, trying to talk to her and was like, are you sure that he's the one who did this? Are you sure that you're sure that you're sure? And she was like, Daddy had my back for once. She was like, girl, I always have your back. She done walked off. Woo, child, y'all, this is too much. It is too much. Fatima came in Andy's office to see what she wanted to do because, of course, in typical Gary fashion, he's still calling her like he done lost his mind and don't understand that it is over. Like, what is we talking about? It's the mental instability for me. Like, y'all, I cannot say it enough. Like, I can't. Anyway, so she's like, okay, what do you want me to do? He's already called you like 17 times and he won't stop calling. He's calling like every 5 minutes. And so she was like, yeah, don't do anything. And so she was like, okay. So she was about to leave because she already could feel the temperature that she was giving off earlier. So she was just like, I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want that smoke. I need my job. Let me go back to my office. And so Andy, stopped her and was like, can I talk to you for a minute? I want to ask you something. I want your opinion on something. So she was like, okay. So she was like, what do you think about what I have going on? And so she was like, you talking about you and Gary and, all that stuff? So she was like, yeah. So she was like, can I sit down? I was like, oh my God. Fatima finna go in. So she was like, okay. So she was like, do you want work Fatima or do you want friend Fatima or the real Fatima? And so she was like, okay, give me the real. Man, Fatima was done. Fatima tied. She read her and told her that the whole situation is a mess. She need to get everybody at work together because they walk around here looking at her sideways and some more. Like, I'm like, yes. Get all them people together and set it off on Gary because it is what it is. And so she was like, have you ever been in love before? And so she was like, yeah, one time. And with that situation, she had gotten with some dude who was fresh out of a relationship, and she knew that. Well, he decided to tell her like 3 weeks before he was going to get married to the same person who he was done with right before he met her. And yeah, so that broke her heart. So she's never done anything with anybody else seriously ever since. So Andy feels like she's Dr. Phil or somebody, and she can analyze and see that this is the reason why she decides to just date people and not have a real commitment and does not want to love anymore. And so she was like, I just can't do it. I don't really feel like it's that, but it just is what it is. And so she was like, well, see, I'm different because I haven't given up on love. And I'm like, okay, do what you do, girl, but you need to go somewhere and sit down for a good little while and be all the way single and not deal with nobody. Because Gary was some trash. All that stuff you went through was very traumatic. And I'm gonna need you to go see somebody and discuss it and really help yourself to let it go and move forward because that was too much. That was way too much. It was way too much. So anyway, but yeah, they had their little one-on-one and, she thanked her for being real with her about the situation and all of that. So then Karen called Sabrina and, she was still in the middle of teaching this boy whatever it was that he, for some reason, forgot how to do. And so she was like, yeah, Karen came up here mad. And she said that he ran up like almost $6,000 on her credit card. And so the first thing that Sabrina said was, do you think that he really did that? She was like, that's the first thing I said. Like, don't nobody think he really out here really willing to go back to jail. You already know. You finna be on the good old 3 strikes and you're out already. Like, why would you do that? And so she was like, yeah, he does have a truck or whatever, but I really don't think he had anything to do with it. So she was like, well, maybe when we go and have dinner tonight, we can talk to her because she really trying to send him back to jail. So hopefully she'll be able to get through to her because she doing the most. Y'all, the episode ended with Danny getting off the phone because she had customers. And so she, greeted them. These 2 hillbilly looking people that rolled up. Turns out they are Rodeo's brothers, kinfolks and things. And they was like, yeah, you can help us. Stay away from my brother. You need to stay your black behind away from my brother. You better not be around here no more. If you go around him again, it's going to be a problem. Don't went all the way off. So apparently there's going to be a continuation when it come back on. I'm just like, where is he at though? Like, don't nobody have time. Because she going to go off a little bit next week too. But they doing too much. Anyway, y'all, it is raining and snowing and doing the most here. So I got me some good sleep earlier and all that good stuff. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in to this recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. I'm about to continue to enjoy this quiet, amazing time that has happened, which doesn't happen very often. And those who know, I'm going to watch some anime and play my video game because I got to go to work tomorrow morning. So I'm going to be enjoying my time while I have it for the next 12 to 15 hours. Anyway, y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all later on for something else. Bye.